Based on it's the same as storm, right?
Well, storm
Can
is
you hear me in
something
the
else.
back,
Storm is the
Rodney, on
actual
channel
tracking
one?
computer, is the actual payroll system.
But I mean, to get an accurate count of hours, storm is just as
Right.
I would look, you
accurate
can look at
as.
storm. The storm is what Ian is basing it on.
Right.
Because they're inputting their hours
Yes.
into storm.
Is the mulch up? The
Exactly.
mulch is up. Can you turn the mulch down for a minute?
Which is what I do also. I go to the store.
109876543211. 12345678910. 109876. Yes, channel 2. Right. So this is so I'm nice and loud. Hold on for 1 second. All right. With the RoboCam. For the RoboCam. All right, stand by. Hold on. Gotta do one more little thing. Okay, so we're good? We're still good? All right. Okay. All right. I'm still over there. Charles? Charles? You still hear me? 109876543221. Channel 2? You hear it? Huh. I can't win. All right. How about now? Hey, Rodney, I changed something. You still hear me, buddy? Okay, I'm asking you to listen. All right, I'm sorry to interrupt your things. Do you hear me now? 109876543221. All right, well, that's a good thing. Is there any noise or buzz or anything on there? Nice and clean? Thank you.
power's working.
Well, hopefully the battery will die long before that.
Well, we can laugh about it now.
We can, not the West you can't. That was bad.
We should be here in about 10 minutes. Hopefully we'll walk out the front gate and then the other one.
Yeah.
can't do it. No, I'm not supposed to.
Who's in the middle?
It's a very top secret, Rodney.
Huh?
It's very top secret.
Oh, yeah. You had to kill me.
It's very complicated.
Hey, does everybody go with you?
I know, right? Everyone's gonna go to the spot eventually
Some
anyway.
people come up here.
I don't know if there was.
Hey, you know what? You're
Get
right.
in your corner.
I'm going.
Get in your corner.
Sorry.
Yeah, but then after the first 5 minutes, we go wherever you want to.
So I'm
Anyway, I was going.
I'm only gonna shoot this one.
No, I'm not going in there. COVID infested corner. Whose cameras are over there? People have cameras permanently there?
Not mine, Doug's and Javid's probably.
You're here?
There's a lot of cameras permanently there these days.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy a lot of tunes.
Look how many are up here?
Too many.
Jeez. Y'all are everywhere. It's crazy. I remember like the first time Paul hung his up there and Bush was out here. Like, 2/3 way through the briefing, his camera fell.
Oh no.
Well, it was on. It had a strap on it, and it was swinging back and forth like this. And Bush is, you could see it in the TV shot. And Bush is going like this. But it was there the rest of the briefing. And then Paul kind of waited till the room cleared out. Then he came out here and picked it
Well,
up.
12:15.
Rodney was probably here.
yeah, I had to come up here and see.
When Paul Richards' camera fell.
Oh, I'm the one that took it down.
Yeah, I was there when he put it up. I was like, that doesn't look very good.
It was not good.
It's lucky he had that strap on. But, you know,
I got a picture in the paper of my hand, like today. And my viewer, she said, damn, I wish I give you some Easter press couplings.
yeah. Remember Bush goes like this. Phil, he goes, when he's swinging back and forth, it's going like this.
I haven't seen you. I saw you. Well, that's how things happen.
23 inches of snow.
I'm fine.
I hear y'all
Yeah,
are, yes.
doing great. Oh, no, I don't get over that, but 175.
Yeah.
A little bit of hay out. Doing live shots from there.
Yeah, I got it.
Like cool.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stephen Ford, 3, 2.
Oh, man. Right on.
And so, come back. Thank you, brother.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
All right. You interrupted me to say that? Just leave.
Okay.
Oh, ouch.
All right, man.
Ouch.
Take
Where's the
care.
love?
That's the love. The love. Oh, are we trying to focus?
Hey, Russell.
White balance.
What? You checking that with me?
Yeah.
You want a white balance card?
No, I just do it by how it looks.
I understand.
Like, it's hard to take a bad picture, isn't it?
But I don't get any copies.
You what?
No one sends me anything.
Just wait. When you retire,
Yeah.
So he's never retiring.
This late point, it's like,
No, I appreciate it.
I am, man.
Yo, no, that's no problem at all.
because I was coming in from the parking garage.
This is the lens I
Everything
thought.
on my back. Now, I do everything on my back. What? On this trip coming in. Most of the time I pull a car. That's smart.
That's weird.
So. Yeah.
I hear you well, yeah.
You know what you have?
say that?
When this came out.
12:15.
Email from Emily, 12:15 now.
Well,
Yeah, Andrew, you're exactly right. In some ways, this is the sort of post-impeachment trial relaunch on the issue of COVID relief for Joe Biden, making his first domestic trip to head to Wisconsin today, Milwaukee, where he's going to make the case from outside Washington why those in Washington need to support this bill. Right now, it's clear that they should have enough Democrats to follow through, give or take Joe Manchin, some moderates as it relates to issues like $15 on minimum wage. He'd like to pressure some Republicans, the president would, to get on board as well. So that's why he heads to Wisconsin for this town hall that will take place this evening. It's part of a week that will focus on this issue. Later in the week on Thursday, he'll be heading to Michigan, Kalamazoo specifically, to a manufacturing site in that state for Pfizer, where he'll meet with workers there who are helping produce the vaccine right now. At this point, it remains a $1.9 trillion package that Joe Biden is pushing, $1,400 in direct payments among the sort of key elements there, though there remains a fight over how that payment will specifically be targeted. Today we're going to hear from Jen Psaki, our first chance to press her, following a series of news-making headlines over the course of the weekend. Of course, the conclusion of the trial with former President Trump being acquitted here. And on that topic, we heard from the former Senate Majority Leader, now Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, saying that on this issue of COVID relief, that he believes it will help unify his party in spite of the divisions that were exposed as a function of the acquittal and conviction votes, with 7 Republicans voting to convict the president. McConnell saying that opposition should bring Republicans together. Andrea? Did they read out 12:15? Is it 12:15 now? 12:15. Yeah, Andrew, that's exactly right. Obviously, this is not the only issue, COVID relief, that's on this administration's plate right now. We are now learning that later this week they're expected to announce this immigration reform plan that would include, among other things, an earned path to citizenship for the 11 million plus undocumented immigrants in this country. It would focus on sending additional technology resources to the border in place of that wall that Donald Trump was so in favor of. This administration pushing for a different route, which would be technology to help avoid future crossings of undocumented immigrants coming to the country. And beyond that, that they would expand the refugee resettlements here. Under the Trump administration, the allowance of refugees into this country had been shrunk dramatically. The Biden administration pushing to expand that as they anticipate this immigration reform bill to be rolled out later this week. But it does raise the issue of political capital. It's a lot of big policy priorities for the administration, some of which they could do in part through executive order, others like immigration that require legislation. But fundamentally, they need to get the COVID relief one done before they can focus more broadly on these others, even as we hear the early rumblings about jobs plans, infrastructure, and immigration.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You seen this?
Huh?
Is that normal?
No, there's nothing normal about anything out that window.
I feel like I was back in the truck and everything.
Tell you what, the only time I made good pictures through that window of the box was the
Camera on
when Trump came out right after the election, you know?
Right. Well, it'd be dark for one, man. Nobody gonna really get a good shot. Get your back page picture. I had to go over there. I was like, that's normal. This is
There's nothing normal about him, but you're right. He has a good heart, I believe.
Yes, he does. Freak the Secret Service that
Yeah. Unless they start bumping it back again. Let's see.
Yeah, great. He wants us to do an audio check real quick. Is that cool?
Let me know if he sees my lip flap.
Because he was in,
Yeah, like in Chattanooga, like in the snow.
but he was in Florida for a while, right?
Oh, is that right? I don't
Then
know.
he came back up here.
I don't know
with
his
the
whole
new-
story.
With the new administration. Well, his Instagram's like White House photos or something like that.
Right, yes, exactly. It's like, what was her name?
The White House photos.
2-minute warning on the press briefing. 2-minute warning on the press briefing. Thank you.
No, Trump. Almost lost her.
Close one.
I crop my long underwear on the shot. I crop my long underwear.
No, it wasn't too bad, actually.
No, he's still there.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
Further back?
Yeah.
They tried to tell him to get
Oh,
out.
he's to the left of me now.
Or the lottery winners.
What is going on outside the window? Is that William?
Yeah,
Is he back?
he's back.
It's a new position.
He's a Korean journalist. We'll talk.
He's an interesting character.
Yes, yes. Good, we have to get the hat on today.
How many good pictures of press briefings made? Maybe she's the president.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Happy Tuesday. All right, I have a couple of items for all of you at the top. A lot of you have asked, maybe not in this room, but in general, what's next? What are we focused on next? And the answer is the president is going to continue working on getting the American Rescue Plan passed. That is his top priority. He is traveling to Wisconsin later this evening, as you know, to have a conversation, engage with the American people about his plans to get the pandemic under control, to put people back to work. And Congress is continuing to do their job over the course of the coming weeks. We're looking forward to making progress. There's also news out this morning about a foreclosure moratorium extension. Some of you may have seen. The COVID crisis has triggered a housing affordability crisis with more than 10 million homeowners behind on mortgage payments. and communities of color at even greater risk of eviction and foreclosure. Today, the administration is taking another step to bring urgent action, relief to the American families struggling to keep a roof over their heads. This is something the president talked about on day one. We talked about on day one, but today the Departments of Housing and Urban Development, Veterans Affairs, and Agriculture announced they will extend and expand the foreclosure relief programs, building on the steps President Biden spoke about a couple of weeks ago. These critical protections were due to expire in March, but as part of today's announcement, the foreclosure moratorium and the mortgage forbearance enrollment window will be extended through June 30th. The administration will also provide up to 6 months of additional mortgage payments to forbearance for borrowers who entered forbearance on or before June 30th, 2020. These actions will bring needed relief to most of the 2.7 million homeowners currently in forbearance and extend forbearance options for nearly 11 million homeowners with government-backed mortgages across the country. It's critical, it remains critical, that Congress pass the American Rescue Plan to deliver more aid to struggling homeowners. As we speak, or maybe a little earlier, depending on when the call wrapped, Jeff Zients had a regular call with a number of governors, our COVID response coordinator, of course, providing them with key updates on our pandemic response, as well as hearing from them about the work they're doing on the ground. As a part of that call, he announced that we're increasing the vaccine supply to 13.5 million doses per week that will go out to states. This is a 57% increase from the amount states received when the president was inaugurated. So since then, obviously, we have announced a couple of increases over the course of time. We're also announcing that we're doubling the supply to our pharmacy program. When we announced that, we said it would be building over time. So today's announcement amounts to 2 million doses going to local pharmacies this week, and this program will expand access in neighborhoods across the country so that people can call and make an appointment and get their shot conveniently and quickly. Eventually, as supply increases, more than 40,000 pharmacy locations nationwide will be providing COVID-19 vaccines through this program. This is a critical part of our plan. Second to last item. Second to last, but certainly not least, we opened healthcare.gov as planned and as we had announced for a special enrollment period until May 15th to provide all Americans the opportunity to sign up for health insurance. They can go to healthcare.gov. Nearly 9 million Americans are eligible for free or subsidized health insurance. Finally, as you know, a brutal Arctic mass impacted the central United States this weekend, bringing freezing rain, sleet, and snow from Texas to the mid-Atlantic. On Saturday night, Texas Governor Greg Abbott requested a federal emergency declaration due to the severe weather storm. Homeland Security Advisor Dr. Liz Sherwood-Randall called Governor Abbott on Sunday to let him know that the president had immediately granted his request to help meet the state's mass care and shelter needs. Yesterday, Liz additionally called the other governors in the storm's path on behalf of the president, including Governor Ivey of Alabama, Governor John Bel Edwards of Louisiana, Governor Laura Kelly of Kansas, Governor Reeves of Mississippi, and Governor Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma. She expressed the president's strong commitment to ensuring that the federal government proactively does everything it can to support state and local officials in preparing for and responding to the events that impact our citizens. We will, of course, continue to monitor the storm's updates in the days ahead. With that, Zeke, go ahead.
First, Jen, the president's schedule didn't have a whole lot of official events before he leaves this afternoon. Can you give us a sense of what he's been doing today? And then, does he plan to reach out to those specific governors from those affected states, Governor Abbott and others who have been affected by the storm?
I expect, so let me take the second one first. The president has been kept abreast, as I noted, of the events and been provided updates, regular updates on the storm and the progress, and of course, the emergency declaration. I don't have any calls to read out, but I expect he will be involved personally, and if we have calls that he's making himself, we will provide that information to all of you. In terms of what he's spending his day doing, he's continuing to have meetings with his policy teams and experts about his plans to bring relief to the American people and public, and he's remained focused on that today behind the scenes before he travels to Wisconsin for a town hall later this evening.
And just on the vaccine announcement, is there any discussion of this winter weather affecting the vaccine distribution? And what steps is the federal government taking to ensure that there's no spoilage of those vaccines, which have to be kept in those very cold temperatures during shipping and rain delays?
You're right that we monitor, obviously, weather, Mother Nature, and the weather can sometimes impact and requires contingency planning, which is something our team is quite focused on. Our COVID-19 response team is also in close touch with state and local governments across the country. We're monitoring the situation in Texas very closely. Obviously, FEMA is running point on a number of the operational pieces, but while I don't have an update now, it's something we're very mindful of, and we contingency plan to ensure people are getting the doses they need at a appropriate timeline.
On a different topic, Congressman Benny Thompson filed a civil suit against former President Trump. Part of what we expect to be a slew of civil suits against the former president and others involved in the January 6th insurrection. Does President Biden have any response to that, and does he support efforts like that to use the civil courts to hold President Trump accountable?
He certainly supports the rights of individuals, members of Congress and otherwise, to take steps through the judicial process, but I don't think we have a further comment on it than that. Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Trevor, let me go to you, I promised. Go ahead.
Just on two on foreign policy for you. First, there was a rocket attack in Iraq yesterday, and Iraqi officials have said that the group that took responsibility for that attack has ties to Iran. My question is, one, whether you've made that determination as well, and two, what kind of retaliation would be considered?
Sure. Appreciate the question. We're still working through attribution with our Iraqi partners to determine precise attribution for this attack. Obviously, that's a priority. I will convey that we are outraged by last night's rocket attack in the Iraqi Kurdistan region. Initial reports indicate that the attacks killed one civilian contractor and injured several members of the coalition, including one American service member and several American contractors, and we offer our condolences to the loved ones of the civilian contractor killed. The Iraqi people have certainly suffered for far too long from this kind of violence and violation of their sovereignty. I will also note, and I think the State Department provided this update, but just for all of you, Secretary Blinken has reached out to the Kurdistan Regional Government Prime Minister Barzani, and Secretary Austin is speaking with his counterpart to offer assistance with the investigation and to help hold accountable those responsible for this attack, but we have not determined attribution at this point.
And do you expect that there would be retaliation once that declaration is made?
Well, as always, the President of the United States and the administration reserves the right to respond in the time and the manner of our choosing, but we'll wait for the attribution to be concluded first before we take any additional steps or obviously have any additional announcements. I will convey to you that obviously diplomacy is a priority with this administration and something that is front and center to our engagement with our global partners around the world. And certainly these calls are evidence of that, but that will always be a part of our strategy as well.
And to the point of diplomacy, one thing that Germany has asked for is some relief as far as the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and I'm just curious if you have an update on that, whether Biden will consider waiving the ability to do sanctions on companies related to that.
Well, our position on Nord Stream 2 has been very clear, and it remains unchanged. President Biden has made clear that Nord Stream 2 is a bad deal. It's a bad deal because it divides Europe, it exposes Ukraine and Central Europe to Russian manipulation, and because it goes against Europe's own stated energy and security goals. We're continuing to monitor activity to complete or to certify the pipeline, and if such activity takes place, we'll make a determination of the applicability of sanctions. Importantly, sanctions are only one of among many important tools to ensure energy security, and we, of course, will do this all in partnership with our allies and partners, but our position has not changed on the deal. Go ahead.
The president is changing gears this week, obviously looking beyond the Hill to get out and sell this plan to the American people. Is this a sign that he recognizes that he's not likely to get Republicans in Washington on board?
He certainly wouldn't agree with that. I would say that the president's view of the package, well, one, I would say first, the president has not shifting gears. He has been focused every single day, even as others have not, which is understandable, on engaging with partners, stakeholders, people who agree with him, people who don't agree with him, on getting this package through. This is an opportunity, as you noted, to go out and have a conversation with the people of Wisconsin, people who agree with him, people who disagree with him. But if you look at the polls, they are very consistent. The vast majority of the American people like what they see in this package. And that should be an indication, or should be noted by members of Congress as they consider whether they're going to vote for it or not.
So is he hoping then that these visits will help build pressure on members of Congress?
No, his objective is really to make sure he is engaging directly with the people who are impacted by the pandemic, who are impacted by the economic downturn, who are worried about whether they're going to get a shot, who don't know where to get information, who are worried about whether they're going to be able to put food on the table. That's the focus of this trip. Obviously, Republicans in Congress will have to make their own choice about whether they support the final package. It's still working its way through Congress, but the vast majority of the public supports it, including the vast majority of most members' constituents, so it's really a question for them.
And on another topic, would the president sign legislation to create a commission to investigate the January 6th attack?
Well, I saw an announcement, I believe it was yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly, by Speaker Pelosi, or some comments, I should say. It's, of course, Congress's decision to form this commission, as we've talked about a bit in here, but it's certainly one the president would support. And President Biden has made clear his views on the tragic events of January 6th, including where responsibility for them lies. He backs efforts to shed additional light on the facts to ensure something like that never happens again. In addition to the recently announced desire to put together a commission or form a commission, we'll continue to work with Congress to identify measures that the federal government can take going forward to prevent violence we saw on January 6th. And as you know, probably, Mary, there's a number of hearings that are upcoming in the coming weeks, and we'll be cooperative with those, of course.
What would you hope to learn through a commission? Because obviously we saw a very thorough airing of the events last week.
Well, again, I don't think the tenets of the commission have been formed. That's up to Congress to do. We have a role to play in the federal government, of course, with ongoing investigations out of the Department of Justice, but he supports efforts to move forward with it, the desire to have one, certainly understanding and knowing how much the events on the 6th impacted members sitting on the Hill. Go ahead.
Jen, thank you. The president, yourself, have frequently cited what you describe as the failures or the shortcomings of the Trump administration as it relates to their response to COVID. We're now nearly a month into this administration. Does the Biden administration now own the coronavirus response?
Well, certainly the President of the United States owns the response to the COVID pandemic. That's why he is focused on it every single day. However, it's important for the American people to know what we inherited when the president came into office. And what he inherited was not enough supply, not enough vaccinators, not enough places for vaccinations to happen. Communities had been left to fend for themselves. And so that's what he's been focused on and working on. But certainly, if he were standing here, he would say that's why it's the issue he wakes up every morning and is focused on, because addressing it is what's on the minds of the American people, and he's the president. It's his responsibility to focus on it.
Let me ask you, if I can, I want to bounce around a little bit back to the impeachment trial that just wrapped up. You guys posted a statement late on Saturday where he said the final vote, though it didn't lead to a conviction, the substance of the charge, the president said, is not in dispute, even those opposed to the conviction. He cited Mitch McConnell believed that Donald Trump was guilty of a disgraceful dereliction of duty, practically and morally responsible for provoking the violence unleashed on the Capitol. So if he wasn't convicted through an impeachment trial via Congress, via the Senate, how should a president who commits acts that President Biden says are not in dispute be punished?
Well, I think obviously there was a process that worked its way through the Senate. That's why we put out a statement on Saturday evening.
Does he support criminal prosecution?
That will be up to the Department of Justice to determine. We're doing something new here, and there's going to be an independent Justice Department to determine what any path forward and any investigation would look like.
Absent this president's actions, though, do you think, does something like this, does it seem, I mean, Mitch McConnell left that door open to criminal prosecution. Would actions like this, do they meet the bar for criminal prosecution?
I am not going to speculate on criminal prosecution from the White House podium. The president is committed to having an independent Justice Department that will make their own decisions about the path forward.
Let me ask you a last question on the candidates. Housekeeping around here. TJ Ducklow, we know, is no longer working for this White House. He was suspended for a week after comments that he made to a female journalist. The president, as you know, on Inauguration Day said If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts. He didn't fire TJ on the spot. He has since resigned. Has the president's position on talking down or disrespecting others changed?
I think the president leads by example, and I try to do the same. And on Saturday, when we announced that TJ Ducklow had resigned his position, something we all agreed was the right path forward, I made clear that every day we're going to try to meet the standard set out by the president in treating others with dignity and respect, with civility, and with a value for others through our words and our actions. He's no longer employed here, and I think that speaks for itself.
Go ahead. Jen, thank you. As you prepare to put out an immigration plan as soon as the end of this week, can you give us a little more information on the timing? And also, when it comes to the Dreamers, can you give us any specifics on whether a potential pathway to citizenship will be part of the plan for that particular group?
Well, there certainly is part of the proposal that the president outlined and proposed on day one is an earned path to citizenship, right, for 11 million immigrants who are undocumented immigrants who are living in the country. He's also somebody who believes in the rights of the DACA recipients to be in the country. He was here during the, of course, Obama-Biden administration, of which he played a prominent role, important role, and supported that program. We've outlined the tenets of what we think the proposal should look like, which includes that, but also includes funding to address the root causes, it includes investment in smart security, but Congress will have to work through what it looks like moving forward and what components will be included in here or what components could be dealt with separately.
And how important will it be to this administration that this be one overarching, large, comprehensive package versus pieces of an immigration plan that are broken up and passed separately?
Well, I understand and I've read, I know there's different points of view and different views from prominent and important advocates on this particular issue, but we're going to let the bill be presented formally at some point soon. I'm not going to get ahead of that process, and certainly the president feels that all of these requirements that are in the bill, these components of the bill, are what makes it comprehensive. They all need to be addressed. That's why he proposed them together.
And does the president plan to rescind these Trump-era restrictions on immigration and work visas that have dramatically limited immigration? They're set to expire at the end of March. Will he let those expire naturally, or will he rescind them before that?
Let me talk to our Department of Homeland Security. It's likely a conversation that would happen in coordination with them. Obviously, the president's view is that the approach of the prior administration was immoral, but also ineffective in terms of addressing the many challenges of an outdated immigration system, but I don't have an update on those particular requirements.
Question on Afghanistan. Has the administration decided whether to further troop withdrawals below 2,500? And if the decision hasn't been made yet, when do you expect one?
I don't have any update on that front or a timeline of when any additional decisions will be made.
Do you feel that the previous administration withdrawing troops so quickly tied this administration's hands?
I think the president is somebody who is not new to the global stage and certainly not new to the difficult decisions that need to be made around issues related to Afghanistan, issues related to the men and women who are serving, and our own national security. So he's making decisions through that prism, but I just don't have an update on what any timeline will look like.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. First on the vaccine, you were talking earlier about how the president wants to address the concerns of everyday Americans with vaccine and the pandemic. One way the White House Chief of Staff proposed doing that last month was creating a national clearinghouse for vaccine information that would either be available online or through a hotline. Can you update us on the progress of that? Is that close to being rolled out?
I don't have any update for you other than to convey that our team is always considering a range of options to make information more accessible, ensure more people, more of the American public know how they can get a vaccine, when they can get a vaccine, where they can go to get a vaccine. That's part of the reason the president is, of course, traveling to Wisconsin, but I don't have any update for you on a clearinghouse or a website.
So it sounds like that's only still under consideration. Is